Today we're diving deep into the past of Ginny and Kuma, as well as the mystery behind Ginny's incurable disease, sapphire scales. In the world of One Piece, there are many heartbreaking stories, but the tragic tale of Ginny and Kuma is especially noteworthy. Moreover, we're exploring the true nature and treatment of sapphire scales, a disease that even Bonney suffers from, and how Bonney's origins impact the storyline. In this video, we'll thoroughly discuss these themes, revealing the crucial plot twists brought by bloodline of the Celestial Dragons. Now, if you discover something new in this video, please share it with a like or a comment, and if you have a different theory, we'd love to hear it in the comments too. Please note, this video includes content up to episode 1098, so be aware of spoilers. Now, let's get right to it. In our last episode, chapter 1097, we saw Ginny and Kuma living happily in the Kingdom of Sorbet, ending with Ginny, the leader of the Revolutionary Army's Eastern Army, being kidnapped. Chapter 1098 starts a bit later, revealing that celestial dragons were responsible for Ginny's abduction 14 years ago. In Film Gold, we saw Tesoro's beloved Stella being bought and enslaved by celestial dragons. Similarly, it's believed that celestial dragons enslave humans they fancy from the lower realms, and this time, it was Ginny. Of course, Ginny is precious to Kuma and the Revolutionary Army, but opposing the Celestial Dragons means going against the world government. At that time, the Revolutionary Army didn't have the strength to confront the world government directly, so they couldn't forcefully retrieve Ginny. About 2 years after Ginny's kidnapping, Kuma suddenly receives a message that Ginny has fallen ill and been discarded by the Celestial Dragons. Believing she would return to Sorbet Kingdom, where they had first found peace and happiness, Kuma rushes to her. Tragically, he's too late, and Ginny passes away. Kuma, who's even refrained from marrying Ginny to avoid her misfortune, tragically couldn't prevent another calamity from befalling her. Are you asking me to show my memories, to expose my shame? Bartholomew Kuma. In chapter 1072, Kuma's reference to his memories as shame might be deeply tied to his failure to protect Ginny. And now, Kuma becomes the caretaker of Ginny's child, Bonney. He doesn't correct Bonney when she calls him father, likely intending to keep the truth from her until she's older. But Bonney sees Kuma's memories transformed into a giant paw print in the Nikyu room on Egghead Island. She learns about her origins and Kuma's harrowing past, shedding tears upon discovering this. Despite knowing her connection to Kuma and his shameful past, Bonney continues to call him father, directing her murderous intent towards Saint Saturn, who harmed Kuma. However, Bonney harbors no negative feelings towards Kuma and is likely to continue striving to save him. Bonney has developed the rare disease sapphire scales, and from Evankov's words, it's believed that this same disease claimed Ginny's life. 7 years ago, when Bonney was diagnosed, the doctor mentioned it as a rare disease recently heard of, characterized by blue stones forming on the face under any natural light, including sunlight and moonlight. Even completely shielding from natural light doesn't halt its progression, making it a true incurable disease. Since both mother and daughter, Ginny and Bonney, appear to have developed it, it's highly likely that the disease is hereditary. Kuma's pawpaw fruit has the ability to repel pain and injury, but in the flashbacks depicted, we never see Bonney's disease being cured. This implies that even the powers of the pawpaw fruit are unable to remove sapphire scales. In One Piece, when we hear of incurable diseases, we think of the ones Roger and Law suffered from. While Roger's disease remains largely a mystery, it didn't manifest any external symptoms. On the other hand, Law's amber lead syndrome, caused by environmental pollution and the poison in amber lead, did show physical symptoms. Though Roger's disease remains unknown, the manifestation of mineral or gemstone-like symptoms on the skin makes Law's amber lead syndrome and Bonney's sapphire scales similar in the same aspects, suggesting a possible connection. Despite suffering from such a dreadful disease, Bonney is now seen walking under the sun without the blue stones on her face. So, does this mean Bonney's illness has already been cured? There are 3 main possibilities to consider. 1. Dr. Vegapunk cured it. 2. It was cured using some ability. And 3. The current Bonney is a clone. Let's explore each possibility. First, the possibility of Dr. Vegapunk curing the disease. We'll also try consulting doctors around the world. Monkey D. Dragon. Dragon, aware of Bonney's illness, seems to have been involved in trying to cure it. However, 7 years ago when Bonney's illness was diagnosed, the Revolutionary Army was already quite powerful. Despite Dragon's connections, no doctor capable of curing sapphire scales was found, making the appearance of such a doctor later quite unlikely. However, being the world's greatest genius, it wouldn't be surprising if Dr. Vegapunk could cure Bonney's disease. I am versed in all fields of study. Dr. Vegapunk, Shaka. In Chapter 1066, Dr. Vegapunk Shaka claimed to be versed in all fields of study, which would naturally include medicine. Since Kuma is likely to have met Vegapunk a few years after the flashbacks depicted, and since the current Bonney shows no symptoms of sapphire scales, there are no contradictions chronologically. Next, let's consider the possibility of the disease being cured by an inability. Bonney's age fruit is believed to have the ability to manipulate the age of herself and others. In Chapter 1072, her technique, Aging Shock, pulverized metals and other substances. This suggests that Bonney's ability isn't just age manipulation, but manipulation of time itself, effective not only on living beings, but also on inanimate matter. We'll delve deeper into this later, but it's possible that this ability could halt the progression of the disease. My power doesn't have eternal effects on living beings. Jewelry Bonney. Bonney's statement in Chapter 1072 implies that her powers might have permanent effects on inanimate matter. If the hypothesis that the age fruit could also affect diseases is correct, then Bonney could potentially use her ability to create a future where sapphire scales is cured. Finally, let's discuss the possibility that the current Bonney is a clone, a theory we've speculated on several times before. However, with the revelation of Bonney's origins in Chapter 1098, this theory might have become less likely. The flashback in this chapter revealed that Bonney was 5 years old 7 years ago, making her currently 13 years old. I'm going to save you now, Bonney. How can I leave such a young child to die? Dr. Vegapunk Stella. However, in Chapter 1093, Vegapunk refers to Bonney as a young child, which feels slightly incongruent for a 13-year-old. This inconsistency in age is a key point in suggesting that Bonney's age might not align perfectly. Yet, the memories of Kuma and Bonney in this chapter closely match Bonney's own childhood memories. As we can see, Bonney retains memories of being raised by Kuma. Considering that characters like S-Snake and Clone Stussy do not inherit the memories of their original counterparts, it suggests that Bonney is not a clone. We've explored 3 possibilities for why the current Bonney shows no symptoms of sapphire scales. The most likely explanation seems to be that her illness was cured by her ability. Furthermore, Bonney's backstory includes being enslaved by the celestial dragons as a child, losing her parents, experiencing the God Valley incident, and then losing Ginny. Given these experiences, Kuma, who appears to harbor only negative feelings towards the government and celestial dragons, surprisingly accepted to become a modified human, akin to a death sentence, and join the 7 warlords of the sea. This decision seems completely out of character for the Kuma we've come to know from the flashbacks. This leads us to speculate that Kuma's actions were influenced by his concern for Bonney. Based on the 3 possibilities we've considered, it's plausible that the government offered him the age fruit as a condition, or that Dr. Vegapunk proposed cooperation, all in an effort to cure Bonney's disease. Bonney, believed to be Kuma's daughter and possibly inheriting the Buccaneer tribe's blood, has her lineage almost confirmed in Chapter 1098. It's revealed that Ginny, taken by the celestial dragons, had a child, suggesting a high likelihood that the child is of celestial dragon descent. This means Bonney is half human, half celestial dragon. It's unclear whether Bonney was born in the Sorbet kingdom of Marijois, but either way, the celestial dragons must have been aware of Ginny's pregnancy, suggesting Bonney is part celestial dragon. However, the fact that a sick Ginny and a healthy Bonney were both expelled from Marijois, or Ginny was expelled while pregnant with Bonney, leads to 2 possibilities. Bonney, being born to a slave, may not have qualified as a celestial dragon and was seen as a commoner. Given that sapphire scales is likely hereditary, they knew Bonney would eventually develop the disease and thus discarded her. Furthermore, if Bonney is not Kuma's biological daughter, it implies that Kuma is the sole survivor of the Buccaneer tribe. 3 species that don't exist in any country. One might have vanished into history, but you're alive. Big Mom. In Chapter 951, Big Mom mentioned to King about 3 rare species, giants, Lunarians, and the Buccaneers, suggesting the Buccaneers might have also vanished. The sun god Nika, a legendary warrior passed down in our Buccaneer lineage. Kuma's father, Clap. In Chapter 1095, Clap mentions that the legend of Nika is passed down in the Buccaneer tribe, suggesting their deep connection with the Void Century and sun god Nika. With Chapter 1098 confirming that Bonney and Kuma are not blood-related, Kuma's importance in the final arc of One Piece increases as possibility the last of the Buccaneer tribe. Nonetheless, the possibility of Kuma regaining his self-awareness remains a plausible development. As previously explained, it's almost certain that Bonney has celestial dragon lineage, and there's a very high likelihood that another key character on the pirate side shares this trait. That character is none other than one of the 4 emperors, red-haired Shanks. As the story enters its final arc, the increasing importance of both Bonney and Shanks, especially on Luffy's side, suggests that there must be a significant reason behind their character overlap. Now, to speculate on this, let's first identify the commonalities between Bonney and Shanks. 3 main parallels can be drawn. Both possibly have celestial dragon blood. Both are likely abandoned children. Both have been seen shedding tears. Firstly, as explained earlier, Bonney is born to Ginny, who was taken as a wife by a celestial dragon, making it inevitable that Bonney's father is a celestial dragon. Shanks, on the other hand, is suggested to be from the Figueroa family, in Film Red, as mentioned by the 5 elders. Additionally, the presence of Saint Figurlin Garling, the supreme commander of the Holy Knights, hints at Shanks having celestial dragon lineage. Another pirate with celestial dragon is the former 7 warlord, Don Quixote do Flamingo, who was a legitimate celestial dragon. This makes the situation of Bonney and Shanks distinct, as their celestial dragon lineage is more subtle and underplayed. Next, let's discuss the second point, both of them being abandoned children. As many of you know, Shanks was the baby found inside a treasure chest taken by Roger and his crew during the God Valley incident. It was revealed that Shanks' relative, presumably his father, St. Figurlin Garling, was present at God Valley. This suggests, though the details are unclear, that Shanks was abandoned by St. Garling. In contrast, Bonney's mother, Ginny, was afflicted with an incurable disease, likely the same sapphire scales that Bonney had, and was discarded by the celestial dragons. At that time, Bonney was either already born or still in her mother's womb, inevitably making her an abandoned child of the celestial dragons as well. Lastly, the third point, both characters shedding tears. After Roger returned from Laugh Tale, Shanks accused him something and then was seen crying. Kozuki Oden. In Chapter 968, Shanks broke down in tears when he questioned Roger on his return from Raftel. The reason for Shanks crying after speaking to Roger remains unknown, but a similar event occurred with Bonney. In Chapter 1078, after touching Kuma's paw-shaped memories in Room Nikyu and witnessing everything, Bonney simply broke down and cried. The sight of her crying with her eyes hidden bears a resemblance to a young Shanks crying in Roger's arms. From these 3 points, it's evident that Shanks and Bonney share remarkably similar secrets regarding their origins. With these parallels between Bonney and Shanks, we can make some conjectures about Shanks based on what we know about Bonney. For instance, mysteries surrounding birth. If Shanks, who inherits the prestigious Figurlin family bloodline, was abandoned like Bonney, it could be for similar reasons. Maybe his mother, a slave, hid him in a treasure chest to protect him from the carnage of the God Valley incident. Reasons to overturn the world. If Shanks' mother was oppressed and killed by the celestial dragons, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that Shanks harbors a desire for revenge, even against his own celestial dragon family, the Figurlins. His pursuit of One Piece might be part of a plan to undermine the authority of the celestial dragons and change the world. Considering Bonney's close alignment with the Straw Hat Pirates, Shanks might be on a different path. This suggests that Shanks might not necessarily ally with Luffy and could even be headed towards a clash with him at the end of their journeys. In the world of pirates opposing the world government, 3 figures with a high likelihood of having celestial dragon lineage stand out: Shanks, Jewelry Bonney, and Don Quixote do Flamingo. Among them, the most intriguing is Bonney, who, being half human and half celestial dragon, can be considered a demigod of sorts. In One Piece, there are several elements named after gods from real-world mythologies, like the ancient weapons Pluton, Uranus, Poseidon, and homies like Zeus, Prometheus, and Hera, not to mention Prince Loki of Elbaf. These entities often possess powers akin to their mythological namesakes, such as Zeus, controlling lightning, and Poseidon, ruling over sea creatures. With this context, Bonney's character development as a half-celestial dragon or god becomes significant. It suggests she could play a central role in the story, much like mythical heroes such as Achilles, Gilgamesh, Odin, and Loki, who dramatically influence their respective mythologies. On a personal level, Bonney undoubtedly harbors a desire for revenge against the celestial dragons for what they did to her father, Kuma. Indeed, on Egghead Island, Bonney confronts one of the key representatives of the celestial dragons, St. J. Garcia Saturn, with determination and even attacks him, knowing it could make her an enemy of the world. Thus, Bonney's role could be akin to that of Gilgamesh, a pivotal figure in ending the era of the gods, or the celestial dragons in this case. The scenario aligns well with her motivations and circumstances. Similar to how Luffy supported Momonosuke, the heir of the Kazuku family in the Wano country, to restore their reign, a repeat of such an alliance could occur. Luffy and his crew might come to Bonney's aid in her challenge against Saint Saturn, possibly sparking a revolution in the process. In Chapter 1098, the secret of Bonney's birth and the reason Kuma left the Revolutionary Army were uncovered. It turns out his decision was driven by a profound determination to stay close to Bonney, the precious legacy of his beloved Ginny. Additionally, Bonney has developed an illness similar to Ginny's incurable disease, sapphire scales. This might very well be the reason Kuma chose to align with the world government, as many of you might have suspected. Yet to be explored in Kuma and Bonney's backstory are Kuma's reign as the king of the Sorbet Kingdom, his rejoining the 7 warlords of the sea, his relationship with Dr. Vegapunk, his transformation into a cyborg, the potential cure for Bonney's illness, Bonney's acquisition of the Age fruit, and the formation of the Bonney Pirates. All of these, Kuma's top priority evidenced by his departure from the Revolutionary Army, seems to be curing Bonney's disease. Combining all the elements, the only person likely capable of curing Bonney's incurable disease, sapphire scales, would be the world's greatest mind, Dr. Vegapunk. It's known from Chapter 1066 flashbacks that Vegapunk was affiliated with the world government as early as the formation of the Revolutionary Army 22 years ago. Thus, seeking Vegapunk's help would inevitably mean appealing to the world government. Indeed, Kuma, with a heart-rending decision, chose to serve the despised world government to save Bonney. Furthermore, Bonney's affliction with sapphire scales is a notoriously difficult disease to cure. Even for someone as skilled as Vegapunk, finding a treatment wouldn't be straightforward. Here, the key might lie in Vegapunk's specialty in lineage factors and the powers of devil fruits, specifically the Age fruit. In One Piece Volume 107's SBS, it was revealed for the first time that Bonney's abilities come from the Age fruit. This devil fruit allows the user to freely manipulate the age of themselves or others, from infancy to old age. Additionally, as demonstrated through her attack on Vegapunk and the distortion future, it can potentially warp the future into a form envisioned by the user. In this latest revelation, Bonney also made a significant statement. "I'll be cured when I turn 10 years old? Can I go on a trip with my dad then?" Jewelry Bonney. Bonney envisioned a future where her illness would be cured when she turns 10. To realize Bonney's wish, she was given the age fruit, a devil fruit necessary for her healing. In exchange, Bartholomew Kuma, a descendant of the Buccaneer tribe, continued to desire freedom. He surrendered his own freedom to the world government, deciding to become their eternal slave in return for Bonney's health and growth, the cherished legacy of his beloved Ginny. This context clarifies why Kuma never told Bonney the truth and kept Vegapunk silent. It also aligns with his actions of subtly aiding Luffy, the son of Dragon, whom he saw as a beacon of hope. With such a turn of events, Bartholomew Kuma, who sacrificed his freedom for love, exits the narrative. Jewelry Bonney, inheriting his will, steps forward as a key figure in the ongoing saga. This development, while tragically poignant, seems a natural progression in the story's arc. So, what are your thoughts on these speculations? That's all for today. This channel posts summaries, explanations, and ranking videos related to One Piece. If you like One Piece, we would be happy if you could support us by subscribing to our channel and commenting. Hey, thank you for watching till the end, and we'll see you in the next video.